Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're cutting through all the noise to talk about a skill that's not just valuable, but I'd say essential.
Absolutely. We're talking about the ability to focus.
To really, truly focus on complicated tasks. This is our deep dive into the concept of deep work.
And it's basically the ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task. It's the real currency of the new economy.
It's not about just putting in more hours at your desk.
No, not at all. It's about reaching this mental state where you can quickly master complex information and then produce, really high quality output. And our sources make a very clear distinction between this and something they call shallow work.
Right, shallow work, which is all the busy work, the administrative stuff that fills our days.
Exactly. Answering routine emails, scheduling things, tasks that are, they're necessary, but they don't really demand high cognitive function. They're repeatable.
And the whole point of this dive, really, is that deep work is becoming incredibly rare.
It is, precisely because our entire digital world is, it's designed for distraction. And because it's so rare, it's become extremely valuable.
So our mission today is to equip you with the why, the economic reasons you need this skill, and then the practical rules for actually building it into your life.
To get started, let's just lay out Cal Newport's core formula. It's really simple but powerful.
Okay, what is it?
High-quality work produced equals time spent, multiplied by intensity of focus.
Multiplied by, that's the key part, isn't it?
That's everything. Intensity is the multiplier. Most people, most professionals, they try to get more done by just increasing the time spent.
Staying late, working weekends, grinding it out.
Right. But if your intensity of focus is low, you're checking Slack every 5 minutes, you've got 10 tabs open, you're multiplying all those extra hours by a tiny number.
Or like 0.3 or something.
Maybe. So you get these tiny marginal gains for a huge amount of effort. The only way to really transform your output is to maximize that intensity factor.
So let's start with that big picture, the macro view. Why is this such an economic imperative now?
Well, the economists Eric Brynjolfsson and Andrew McAfee, they talk about something they call the Great Restructuring.
A great restructuring, okay.
It's this fundamental economic shift where technology, AI, automation, you name it, is just advancing faster than the average worker can keep up.
So you get this big split in the workforce.
A huge split. Technology is creating incredible wealth and opportunities, but really only for a few specific groups.
And our sources detail 3 of these groups, and they all have one thing in common.
Deep focus. The first group is the high-skilled workers.
So data scientists, people like that.
Exactly. Think of someone like Nate Silver. His value isn't just knowing about data, it's his ability to use these incredibly complex tools to interpret it in a way that almost no one else can. And that requires intense, sustained concentration.
Okay, so that's group 1. What's the second?
The second group is the superstars.
The best of the best.
The very best. Someone like David Heinemeier Hansson, who created Ruby on Rails. The thing about the digital economy is that it's global. It gets rid of local competition.
So you're not just competing with the other experts in your city anymore.
You're competing with the best person on the entire planet. And to win in that kind of marketplace, your output can't just be good. It has to be exceptional.
And the third group?
The third group is, of course, the owners of capital, people like the investor John Doerr. They fund the technologies that get immense returns with very little human labor.
So for the rest of us, for the listener who wants to thrive in this new economy, it really boils down to 2 core abilities we have to develop.
The first is the ability to quickly master complex and difficult skills, because the goalposts are always moving.
And the second?
Is the ability to produce at an elite level. We're talking about both quality and speed.
And this is where it all connects back to deep work, isn't it?
It's the non-negotiable link. If you can't focus intensely, you simply can't learn hard things quickly. You can't accelerate that learning curve. Just look at someone like Adam Grant.
The author and professor.
Right. His whole system is built around these huge protected blocks of time for single tasks. No multitasking. That deep concentration is what allows mastery. The economics just demand it now.
Okay, so we've established that deep work is incredibly valuable from an economic standpoint, which brings up a pretty big question.
Why is it so rare?
Exactly. It's so important. Why are we all so bad at it?
Well, the short answer is that we're fighting against a culture that actively resists it.
Right.
The modern workplace is almost designed to prevent depth.
Starting with the physical environment, the open office.
The open office, yeah. Companies like Facebook and Square, they embraced it for for collaboration, supposedly.
But all the research shows it just leads to constant, unavoidable distractions.
It completely breaks your flow. You hear a conversation 2 desks over, and that's it. Your concentration is gone.
And then you have the digital tools on top of that.
Oh, absolutely. The rise of instant messaging platforms, even in huge companies like IBM, they promote this culture of constant rapid response.
You're expected to be available all the time.
And those little micro interruptions, they actually condition your brain to expect distraction. It fundamentally weakens your ability to do deep work.
Wait, but that doesn't make sense from a business perspective. If deep work produces the most value, why would companies actively discourage it?
That's the paradox. It's because there's this intense institutional pressure for visible activity. It's hard to measure someone sitting quietly and thinking.
But it's easy to measure how many emails they answer.
Precisely. You see it with organizations like the New York Times pressuring their writers to be super active on social media. It's visible, but it pulls them away from their core job writing.
So we fall into what the sources call the metric black hole. We can't easily measure the real value of deep work, so we just measure the volume of shallow work instead.
And that leads to this really perverse idea, busyness as a proxy for productivity.
So just looking busy is mistaken for being effective.
Exactly. People start to sacrifice real depth because the shallow stuff, the constant emails, the meetings, it gets socially rewarded even though it produces less actual value.
And this is where the conversation shifts a bit to meaning.
It is, because deep work isn't just about productivity, it's about fulfillment.
The feeling of craftsmanship.
Right. Think about the example of Rick Furr, the master blacksmith. He finds this profound meaning in the intense, focused challenge of making a Viking sword with ancient techniques.
It's not about the absence of email for him, it's about the presence of mastery.
It is. When you're operating at your peak, your mind is totally absorbed. That state is incredibly fulfilling. There's this great quote in the sources.
What is it?
Who you are, what you think, feel, and do, what you love, is the sum of what you focus on.
Wow.
So managing your attention isn't just a career hack. It literally defines the quality of your life. A deep life is a meaningful life.
That all sounds fantastic in theory, but I think for anyone listening, the real question is, how do you actually do it? How do we build a life around focus when everything is pulling us away?
You're right. You can't rely on willpower alone. You have to build an architecture for it. Which brings us to rule number 1. Structure your environment to enforce depth.
Structure beats willpower.
Every single time. The sources give this amazing conceptual example from an architect named David Duane, the eudaimonia machine.
Eudaimonia, that's the Greek term for human flourishing.
It is. And this building is designed from the ground up to produce that state. And the key is its sequential structure. You have to go through steps.
You can't just jump to the end.
No. You start in the gallery for inspiration. Then you move to the salon for collaboration, get that out of the way. Then the library for research. After that, the office for the shallow stuff.
And only then can you get to the final rooms.
The deep work chambers. Soundproof, isolated rooms for pure, uninterrupted focus.
So the takeaway for you, the listener, is that you have to create routines, or even what they call grand gestures, to elevate the importance of deep work. You make it non-optional.
Which leads perfectly into rule number 2. Train the focus muscle by embracing boredom.
Because focus isn't something you just have, it's a skill.
It's a skill that requires constant training. Look at the example of Adam Marlin. He had multiple Ivy League degrees, super smart guy.
But he noticed his peers who did consistent, deep study like Talmud study every morning. They just intellectually ran circles around him.
Because for years, they had been practicing sustained concentration. They had trained that muscle. And there's a real neurological reason for this.
What is it?
Research from Clifford Nash showed that constant context switching actually degrades your brain's ability to filter out irrelevant information. You're weakening the neural pathways for focus. It's like you're preventing good insulation or myelination from forming on those wires.
So how do you fight back? How do you train that muscle?
You start by scheduling breaks from focus, not breaks from distraction.
What does that mean?
It means instead of checking the internet whenever you feel bored, you set designated blocks of time for internet use. Your default state becomes focus. Distraction is the scheduled event.
I like that. What else?
There's a technique called productive meditation. This is where you focus deeply on a single professional problem while doing something mindless.
Like walking or driving?
Exactly. When you're on that walk, your job is to dedicate 100% of your mental energy to that problem. And when your mind drifts, and it will, You just gently but firmly bring it back.
That act of bringing it back, that's the workout.
That's the dumbbell curl for your attention muscle.
Okay, that brings us to the last couple of rules, which are all about our digital tools.
Right. Rules 3 and 4. Control your tools and drain the shallows. It's time for a digital diet,
This starts by abandoning what our sources call the any benefit mindset.
which is the idea that if a tool offers any tiny benefit, it's worth using.
Instead, you need to adopt the craftsman approach. A craftsman only uses a tool if it provides a substantial core benefit to their craft.
So the question isn't, is there any value here? The question is, does this tool significantly move me toward producing elite level work? If the answer is no, it has to go.
This is what the writer Baraton Thurston found on his 25-day social media break, right?
He did. He went in feeling totally burnt out and came out realizing his life was just better, less stress. The supposed benefits just weren't worth the massive cognitive cost.
Which connects directly to that final rule. Drain the shallows. You have to be ruthless.
The software company 37 Signals, which is now Basecamp, proved this. They switched to a 4-day work week and found that productivity didn't drop
Why not?
because it forced everyone to just eliminate the trivial, shallow tasks that were eating up their time.
So for you listening, the strategy is simple. First, define shallow work. Get an untrained intern do it. Second, schedule every minute of your day. It's about being intentional.
And if you have to, set a hard, shallow work budget for yourself. Maybe only 60 minutes a day for email. It forces you to protect those deep, valuable blocks of time.
This has been a really fascinating deep dive. We've seen that deep work isn't just a nice-to-have skill. It's really the core currency of value in this new economy.
And its scarcity is what makes it so powerful. It's your single biggest competitive advantage.
It leads to professional success, sure, but also to a more fulfilled life, a deep life.
And you can see this play out historically. Just think about the early days of Microsoft. You had Bill Gates and Paul Allen.
Bull's brilliant, guys.
Incredibly brilliant. But the thing that really set Gates apart was his focus. Allen's mind, it would jump between all these different ideas and passions.
But Gates was described as a serial obsessor. He could just lock onto one thing with this incredible intensity.
Exactly. And so deep work isn't important just because distraction is bad. It's important because, as the sources say, it enabled Bill Gates to start a billion-dollar industry in less than a semester.
So the final thought for you to consider is this. What could you achieve? What massive transformative thing could you build if you started treating your attention not like a renewable resource, but like a weapon of concentrated power? That's the promise of the deep life.